no, I want to start with, I want to kick the, because I meant to actually see this a couple days ago, and then I got sidetracked for like the last 6 days. Because apparently some stuff is going on at the ATF that Brandon's going to educate us about. That apparently heads are rolling at the ATF, which I have no idea what that means, but I am intrigued. So, let's find out.
Gone. Oh wait, what? We're not doing that this time? No. Okay. Well, me, I guess. Just kidding. What's up, guys? Today we're talking about some major shakeups that are happening at the ATF right now. It has been a super crazy couple days. There are actually multiple big pieces of news that I wanted to do the video on the first part a couple days ago, and then like more things started happening, and I just decided to wait for the dust to settle until I could actually do a video on everything.
Much has been going on,
thank God I did. TLDR, which for those of you over 30 means too long didn't read. A lot of shit's on the chopping block right now, and heads are rolling at the ATF. But to do the opposite of what George Lucas would advise, let's start at the beginning. The ATF under Kash Patel has just reversed a huge pain in the ass in the gun industry and the gun community. He's doing great things. I hope he sticks around. We'll get to that.
Well, Brandon, no. Kash Patel got taken out of being the acting ATF boss. And Army's secretary steps in. Wait, as in like the secretary of the Army is stepping in as the ATF boss? I fully appreciate that it was only acting rather than. He'll get into it. Okay, that was my question. Like, is the Secretary of the Army a good fit to the ATF? But you said he'll get into it, so let's let him get into it.
We'll get to that. Just patience. But if you're sitting there wondering, Brandon, why the fuck would I care about the zero tolerance policy? I've never even heard of it. Allow me to enlighten you. The zero tolerance policy is one of the most egregious ways that the Biden administration weaponized the ATF. They realized, because of the way that the Supreme Court was staggered, they probably couldn't get away with a lot of crazy, just overreaching gun laws, at least on the federal level. So what they decided to do instead is if they realized they couldn't go after the individual right to keep and bear arms, crazy, it's almost like it's in the fucking Constitution, they would go after the people who were selling and manufacturing the guns, which is where they started weaponizing audits on mom and pop FFLs. FFL is a federal firearms license. Basically anywhere you've ever gone to that's a pawn shop, a gun store, anything, they've got an FFL. Basically it just allows them to either sell guns or, in the manufacturer case, like an 07, manufacture firearms. Now the ATF has had a history of doing audits on FFLs where basically they'll come in, they'll make sure that you've got all the guns on the books that you're supposed to have, and basically they're just making sure that you're not hawking guns out the back of your gun store to the fucking cartel, because only the ATF can do that.
To dealers, find the supply.
But instead of using these audits...
Wait. Hang on. I'm kind of blocking it. So in Arizona, you had a middleman, a straw buyer, middleman, transporter, border smuggler, money man, gunman, all the way up to Mexico City. Happening.
Supply.
But instead of using these audits to actually catch people who are committing real crimes and selling to people they're legally not supposed to be, they started going after every little minor clerical error they possibly could. People who weren't dotting their I's, crossing their T's. Maybe you use the acronym for the state that you live in instead of the full name of the state written out. Any little thing to say that paperwork wasn't filled out correctly so that they could revoke your FFL. So instead of going after people who were actually committing real crimes and selling to people that they weren't supposed to, they were going after every little clerical error that they could to shut down local gun stores, mom and pop places, anybody who basically couldn't afford to fight the federal government in court. And now you might be asking, Brandon, this sounds like a technicality. Was anybody actually hurt by this? Fucking yes. In fact, in the first few months when the Biden administration rolled this out, FFL revocations, people losing their business, their livelihood, their FFLs, FFL revocation was up over 500%. They couldn't ban the guns, so they got fucking shady about it. Even when I did my testimony in that congressional field hearing, I spoke specifically about this issue. Another way the ATF has been expanding its authority is by targeting legal federal firearms license holders, or FFLs, such as gun stores, gun manufacturers, and so on. And it wasn't just me. Several of the other people that were testifying with me there at that hearing were either in danger or had just lost their licenses over this rule. In fact, that's how I met Chris Smith, the guy that I currently co-own Firearms Direct Club with. The first time we met each other, he was also there giving his testimony, talking about how his gun shop in Florida was being targeted by this policy. But
Kinda, amazing that people are in fighting the same fight might come together, form personal and business relations because they have the same common interests and they're fighting against the same enemy. Shocking. It's just, it's not a bad thing or anything. It's just like, I'm guessing this is probably not the only instance where two individuals from opposite sides of the country have met at an event like this and said, hey, you want to work together on something? Sure, let's do it. And the bing bada boom.
now, if you have an FFL, you can breathe a small sigh of relief because the zero tolerance policy has now been removed, which is huge. I mean, I myself am an 0702 FFL, manufacturer FFL, and I shouldn't have to feel like I'm walking on eggshells, being afraid of an audit, even though I know I'm not breaking the law, but that they'll try to find some small paperwork error to try to make me out to be a criminal, to take.
And I'm actually going to stop there to point out one thing here. With the SSLs, where he's talking about how, like, we need to, like, walk on eggshells. And, where it's a concern about being walking on eggshells, that you might be doing something wrong. There's another fear in there that I don't know if he's going to bring up or if he's brought up in the past is, while you could be sure that you have done all of your paperwork as an FFL holder, like, even if you are certain that all of your paperwork has been done precisely, there's going to be that fear in the back of your mind of, what if they just decide that they don't think this is good enough? Not that it isn't good enough, but that by their own personal logic, that it's not good enough. And they're going to utilize that excuse and the authority that they have to yoink your SSL. And it's not that you actually did anything wrong. You filled all your paperwork properly. But because they have such a hard on to yank your license for reasons, they're going to say, I don't think that you did that correctly because of made up reason X, Y, and Z. Yoink, we'll take that. I would say that has got to be a legitimate concern that many of these FFL holders have in regards to this. Not simply that they're not doing it correctly as has been established by the ATF, but that the ATF is going to come up with some excuse that doesn't actually fucking exist and still take your shit anyway. I have no idea if Brandon's going to address that or not, but that's immediately what I think in my head, is that when you've got a government agency that wants to try and take shit away from you, they will just come up with shit to do it. And then just do it anyway, because they're hell-bent, regardless on whether or not you are within your legal rights to do so, they're hell-bent to take it away from you because they think they know better.
Take away my business, possibly with political motivation. And believe me, there was a time when that was a concern. Now, there is one big outstanding question. The people who were victimized by this zero tolerance policy, will they have their licenses restored? I'm not sure what the plan for that is currently, but I certainly hope that there is a system to expedite those people getting their livelihood back. But for the time being, I'm just considering it a massive win. That mom and pop shops, local small businesses no longer have to live in fear of the big green weenie of the federal government casting a mushroom-shaped shadow over their entire existence. What a sentence. So yeah, summary, first part of this video. Zero tolerance policy, out the fucking window. Pack watch, rest and piss, you won't be missed. Speaking of pack, I want to give a real quick thank you to
TacPack.
Trying not to fucking stab myself here. TacPack is a monthly subscription service where you can get cool shit like AR-15 Tactical Multi-Tool, Kung Fu Pistol Grips, Rat's Tourniquet. You've never seen Heat? That's on my list. Oh, fuck you, man. Walker's Ear Pro.
He hasn't seen...
Dry Fire.
Wait! He hasn't seen Heat? How could you not seen Heat and not only miss one of the greatest gunfights in cinema history, but also miss one of the greatest lines in cinema history.
She got a great ass.
It's one of the greatest lines in cinema history. Get on it, gamer.
Training systems, and more. And new subscribers can use the code AKGuide to get a free extra package of tactical gear worth $60. And the May TAC Pack Plus is going to be worth over $260. That's more than $4. That's objectively true. And this next TAC Pack features AR-15 accessories, EDC gear, medical equipment, and more.
Oh, Jersey, absolutely.
We'd also like to thank SDI for continuing to be a channel sponsor.
Most of them do, not some.
In gunsmithing and weapons technology,
it's not just some laws. The majority of them have too much legalese bullshit in them.
Back to the video. So yeah, suffice it to say, I am super stoked that under Kash Patel's leadership, the ATF has been making moves to reverse stupid rules like the zero tolerance policy. Absolutely making steps in the right direction, and I am very excited to see under Kash Patel's leadership where the ATF is going to go on, and he's gone. Yeah, Kash got fired. Yeah, yeah. A little confused by this move, not gonna lie, but I do understand, because Kash Patel was wearing two hats, where he was the acting director of the ATF, while also being the confirmed director of the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the FBI. I was pretty excited by the implications of that, given that it's always been my dream that the ATF, slowly reversed all of these rulings and then was just lumped into the FBI and gotten rid of entirely. Just gutting all the parts of its existence that only exist to infringe on law-abiding citizens and keep the stuff like, arson investigations and stuff that are actually, solving real crime. So obviously once Kash was confirmed as director of the FBI and also was picked as head of the ATF, I got a little excited for the potential of, what that was going to become. But we do have a new acting director. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome stage left, Dan Driscoll, the new acting director of the ATF. Once again, we have another guy who is wearing two hats. He is the current U.S. Secretary of the Army, as well as the newly appointed acting director of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. So what do we know about him aside from that? Well, we know he was a combat...
I have a better question. Why are we just doing acting directors of the ATF? How have they not gotten a confirmed ATF director in there yet? Like, I appreciate the fact that Kash Patel got put in there because they needed to get an ATF director confirmed through, is it the Senate that's got to confirm it? I think? I can't remember exactly. But like, I hope to God we're not going to just have rotating acting directors for the next, 4 fucking years. Because you're going to have absolutely zero cohesiveness. That's not, just... Well, hopefully, maybe, I don't frickin' know.
That veteran in Iraq. But aside from that, he was also a Republican candidate for Congress, specifically in North Carolina's 11th district, where he lost in the Republican primary. I get it. Aside from that, his actual stance on gun policy and things like that, I really wish I had better news. I don't know. Would love to get a direct line of communication because we have a lot of ideas and a lot of ways that this new ATF...
Well, sorry, Brandon. Yeah, Kybal, I appreciate that the ATF has had mostly acting directors for many a year. The problem is they're putting in acting directors now that are doing 2 different fucking jobs. You had Kash Patel, who is director of the FBI, and they made him acting director of the ATF. So he had 2 big fucking jobs to juggle, and now you've got the Secretary of the Army, who will still continue to be the Secretary of the Army, but then also in charge of the ATF. So, what, is he only going to stick around for 3 months and they're going to rotate him through?
ATF should be turned into an eBay store and sell alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives.
Fucking neatos.
ATF can, stop being gay. But if you have some concerns, don't worry, because I'm about to give you some, communication, because we have a lot of ideas and a lot of ways that this new ATF can, stop being gay. But if you have some concerns, don't worry, because I'm about to give you some weapons-grade copium. I have reason to believe that the ATF is still gaining momentum in the right direction, because just recently, the deputy director of the ATF has been fired. Shit can.
Oh.
Excommunicado. Fuckity bye-bye. Marvin Richardson
Really?
was the deputy director of the ATF, but he was also a long-standing ATF employee, having a career spanning 35 years.
He was the deputy director? Okay. Huh. I'd be very curious what his pedigree prior to the ATF was. Well, was he? Was he Cortana's? Like, does it, like, yeah, I mean, the photo is, he's clearly in the middle of talking and someone snapped a very unflattering photo of him. I'd be very curious what his pedigree is. Like, this looks like a Marine pin. If I'm not, it's really fucking hard to tell. What? Huh. Well, Bronco, I mean, that's what Brandon wants. Brandon wants the ATF to just get folded into the FBI and then go away. But he does go over. Okay, cool.
But he was also a long-standing ATF employee, having a career spanning 35 years.
Oh, that's the ATF badge.
He was
Okay.
the deputy director since 2019 and was also the acting director from 2021 to 2022. Let's go back to that 35 years at the ATF bit. Do the mental math. What happened in the last 35 years at the ATF? Yeah. Old Marvin was awarded medals for his involvement at the siege of Waco. Motherfucker had the Burning Women and Children Alive merit badge. On top of that, he was largely touted as the father of the arm brace restrictions, as well as a whole host of other unconstitutional shit.
Interesting thing about the whole Waco thing, I saw it recently on Twitter. Someone posted something regarding what happened at Waco, that the people at Waco that were in, like, the actual people, not the ATF agents, but the people that were involved in Waco, the people in the house, were apparently doing some seriously vile stuff, like towards the children and whatnot. And that they were, I'm trying to remember exactly what this post said, but it was something to the effect of they were doing some seriously heinous shit, and they were threatening to continue to do seriously heinous shit to the kids there, and that's why the ATF moved in and they just did what they had to do, and basically just defending the ATF and their actions. And Nick actually responded to this person's tweet, not to lambaste them, but to say, do you have a source for this? Because I'd be very interested to look into it. So I am wondering if anything more is going to come of that little tidbit that I saw on Twitter recently. Especially if Nick didn't just like go off on him on Twitter and said, listen, what is your source? I have not heard of this. Could you give me your source? I'd like to look into it.
Voted as the father of the arm brace restrictions, as well as a whole host of other unconstitutional shit that the ATF has been pushing for the last 10 years or so. And he is fucking out of there. Do not pass go, do not collect $200, fuck you. I hope you have a hangnail every day for the rest of your life. This guy had bragged in the past about how much they've been able to do at the ATF to circumvent having to get laws passed by Congress.
That was no small feat, because literally when you talk about changing it, we had to do it through a regulatory process, not a statutory process, because we couldn't change the language of the statute, but we could redefine the terminology that's in the statute.
He's talking about how many extra rules they're able to put on law-abiding citizens without using the legal system, circumventing schoolhouse rock and just putting in whatever he thinks should be the rules, not what the Constitution says has to happen. Motherfucker bragged about it. So for the second time in this video, Marvin Richardson. Packwatch, rest in piss, you won't be missed. Yeah, these are just kind of some big moves happening in the ATF. I don't know how this is all going to shake out, but I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. And if you're thinking about that one thing that just happened, don't worry, we'll be talking about that. I have to talk to some people and make sure that I'm allowed to say what I want to say about that, you know, without fucking up certain plans. But don't worry, we will be talking about that soon. Also, sorry for being a cryptic asshole. I know I'm not trying to sound interesting. I just really don't know what I should say at the moment.
Is he gonna be doing a thing on Waco? Is that what he's implying? That he's going to be doing a video about Waco? That could be interesting. Huh.
Moment. And as if this video wasn't late enough, we have yet another update. I'm so fucking tired. So the deputy director of the ATF got fired. That's fucking great. We've now been informed on who the new one will be. Introducing your new deputy director, Robert Cicada. Now, I have been pretty optimistic of all of the changes over at the ATF since Trump took office. This is the first one, I'll be honest with you, throws up a little bit of a yellow flag for me. I do not know much about this man's views on the Second Amendment. However, I do know he's a career ATF guy. Nothing in his resume that I've been able to find is particularly egregious, but being a lifelong Fed naturally makes the hair in the back of my neck stand up. Is there anything obvious that means he will be bad? No. Am I worried he might be a speed bump to the dismantlement of the bullshit regulations of the ATF in the future? Absolutely. Only time will tell, but this is just another update that's been shotgunned at us in the last few hours. A lot of shit's happening very quickly, and I'm trying to keep you guys informed without turning this into just like a politics-only channel. But I felt the need to update you guys on this before I released the video, so if it's a little late, that's why. I appreciate your patience. Back to past me. In the meantime, we've had some fun projects we've been cooking up, so if you'd like to see more of that, be sure to subscribe, or make sure you're still subscribed down below. I appreciate you guys, as always, for staying to the end of the video, and I will see you sexy YouTube mother lovers in the next one. Thanks, guys. So instead of going after people who are actually committing real crimes and selling people, So instead of going after people that were committing real
Brandon, that's
crimes
a whole different
and selling to
occupation.
people that they weren't supposed to, they were going after every little clerical, fuck me. But for the time being, I'm just considering it a win that mom and pop FFLs, you know, local small businesses, don't have to deal with the impending doom of the giant green, fuck.
I kind of wanted to see how many times he stumbled over the word SSL. Like how many times he's go FFFF and trip over that little word. That little tongue twister. Very interesting.